Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta and our focus today is on the significant growth seen in India's dry fruits and the nuts sector. The demand is led by consumers increasingly opting for healthier snacking options. India's dry fruit market is currently the fastest growing in the world, valued at over $6 billion at retail level. The sector is seeing high growth in revenue, which is estimated at over $134 billion for 2024. While the sector is optimistic about sustained growth in the coming years, there are few concerns regarding import duty, crisis in Russia and Ukraine, and the Red Sea impacting the supply chain and so on. To decode the outlook for the industry this year, now we are joined by Gunjan Jain, who's MD and CEO at VKC Nuts. Yash Gawdi is founder and CEO at Candor Foods. Also joining us are Deepak Agarwal, director at Proventus Agrocom, and Bhanushali is founder and CEO at Ashapura Agrocom. Gentlemen, hi, thank you so much. And you are clearly leading the health and the superfood category in India. And we are looking at strong growth demand continuing in for this one. Gunjan, I'll start with you. And while as big as the sector is and the growth that is there, what did you feel the need to make a national council for? Do you think it's a collective voice and it can address a lot of concerns and opportunities within the space?
Yeah, a very good afternoon, and thank you, Manisha, for this opportunity to represent and talk about this so far unrepresented sector. As we've seen, it's an almost $7 billion on a retail level, 56,000 crores worth of segment, nuts and dried fruit. It still remains very unorganized, and it's moving towards the organized sector. So there was a need to get the whole industry together. There are so many players that are there in the industry who are unrepresented. So we thought we'll get everybody together, and we created this National Council for Nuts and Dried Fruit, where we've gotten together to address as one body, one voice across all the stakeholders, whether it's the honorable government, whether it's our foreign partners, whether it's the domestic market within, whether we are talking to various boards to talk about promotion in India. So that was the whole idea of trying to get everybody together to create this council. We've been successful in doing that. We've had a very good representation. Today, almost 80% of the industry is already a part of the membership direct, importers as well as the stakeholders, whether it's retailers. And we are looking at much faster growth in the coming days. This segment of nuts and dried fruits, it's seen excellent increase. Post-COVID, I think everybody got so aware on the health benefits of nuts and dried fruits and the fact that these are nature's immunity pills. Everybody started looking at trying to get more and more nuts and dried fruit incorporated in their diets. Absolutely. And we can see that in the increase in the sector. We've seen excellent traction across various commodities.
Gunjan, so if I may ask, how many total players are in India who are into dry fruits? That's one. What is the kind of demand growth that India has seen in past few years? And what are the kind of projections that you as an industry are now posting for the next 5 to 8 years?
So on the number of players, it's a very unorganized sector. So I would say that the number would vary easily between the growers. We have a lot of growers in India who are growing raisins. We have growers who are growing cashews. We have growers in Kashmir growing walnuts. So if you add all these people together, I mean, this industry is totally, I mean, it'll have more than, I think, more than 10 lakh players and even more. But we have to get to that in terms of the growth. I think we've seen pistachios increasing from 9,000 tons to 35,000 tons in just the last 4 years. Walnuts, the number you've put is 66. It's gone even higher now. This year, it's gone to about 80,000 tons. And this number was 18,000 tons just 7 years ago. So everything in this segment is seeing a very good rise because of the health awareness mainly and all the work being done when it's moving from unorganized to the organized segment. We are seeing a lot of growth there.
Oh,
what
absolutely.
we see in this industry in the next 5 years, I think we can easily see the numbers double the way we are growing. We are growing at a CAGR of about 12 to 15%. So we can easily see the numbers double. I don't see a reason why it can't be 20 billion by 2030 or something. It will need a lot of support from every segment, including our honorable government. But if we are able to do it, this healthy industry can really take the next step forward.
Well, those are very, very strong numbers coming in. And as you said, well, yes, the numbers that we are showing is FY24. And I'm assuming that as we move ahead, the numbers are expected to be much higher on the calendar year basis as well. Sameer, let me get you into the conversation. And the council has had its first ever event as well. And that was in the month of Feb itself. And I do understand that you've had great representations, walk-ins, participation, etc. Do take us through the numbers.
Yeah, it was Manisha. It was an outstanding event. First of all, we had the blessings of the Honorable Speaker, Shri Om Birla ji, inaugurating the event, and that in itself showed government's commitment and intent towards growing this sector. So this was our first ever show, and the response was phenomenal. We had more than 6,000 visitors, relevant dry fruit and nut industry visitors, along with more than 300 foreign delegates, more than 200 exhibitors, and deals worth more than $50 million were transacted during the 2 days of the event. So it was a resounding success, and it is in continuation with the government's push for Make in India. The event was at Yashobhumi, and we are very proud to say that it's probably one of the finest state-of-the-art convention center in Asia, probably in the world. And the entire global community was stunned to see how good that venue was and how well the event was pulled off by NDFCI. And we will be making this event bigger and bigger each year, and the vision is to make it bigger than Gulf Food, which is right now the biggest food show in the world.
Oh, absolutely, Sameer. Look forward to that. And when we call India as the fastest growing market, and Deepak, this question is to you, how would you compare it to the global markets vis-a-vis the Indian markets, as in sense of numbers?
Hi, Manisha. So I think, this has been the story since COVID, last few years. Everything, India has been the shining star. I mean, generally, if you talk about the financial market or if you talk about the GDP growth, I think dry fruits is similar. I think there's no different story here. I mean, speaking of numbers overall, US and Europe, they are the biggest consumer on absolute base per capita. And I mean, if you say per capita, they are at least 8 to 10x of our consumption. But last few years, they have seen phases of degrowth, and but overall in the last 4-5 years post-COVID era, they have been overall flat to a low single-digit growth. This is for the developed economies. Asia, other than China, has been around 5 to 10% level at max. On the other hand, India, has been a healthy around 15% if you look at the whole category. I think we have already discussed pistachios and walnuts, how well they have done there. Some things are like at least 5x in the last 5 to 7 years. Pistachios already 3x in the last 3 to 4 years. So on a relatively smaller base for pistachios, walnuts, or maybe soft figs, we are close to 40-50% on a growth chart. And like we consider almond and cashews, which are the top 2 value grocer in India, they are close to 8 to 10%. So it has been the similar story like in all other markets. India has been a shining star. We are doing like minimum 15%, and we expect similar kind of a growth in the coming future.
All right, those are very, very strong numbers. But the concern with the industry, Yash, clearly has been that it is more unorganized rather than organized. But do you see a shift in that as well?
Yeah, hi, Manisha. I think we are definitely seeing a shift from unorganized to organized. And I would like the audience to know it's on 3 accounts. One, the traditional dry fruit was sold loose formats. Now it's all in packaged commodities. Thanks to the education and the push that the Consumer Affairs Ministries has been pushing for the last a decade and a half, you're seeing a lot more products being sold in packed formats with a lot more transparency and information going down to the consumers. The second is an advent of homegrown brands. Our show last week saw at least 20 homegrown Indian dry fruit brands who are out there, with great products, value-added products in the health food space. And I think we're seeing a significant move there from unorganized to organized. And lastly, on the retail channel, I think the last mile, the supermarkets, all the big names, DMart, Reliance, there's Star Bazaar and the others, I think have grown the store numbers over the last decade. And the access to the nuts and dry fruits have increased considerably. E-commerce and quick commerce now, post-COVID especially, I think has seen greater access across India. So it's no more the physical channel. You can ship products all across India, and a significant move there, I believe. The numbers are very, very promising, and yeah, I mean, India is very well moving towards the organized retail. The numbers still are a little small, with just about 20% of the overall industry. But I think the growth there is going to be much faster from organized to the organized.
All right, that is good to know. While, of course, there are a lot of opportunities and strong growth numbers that the industry is working with, but it's also not without some concerns, especially when it comes to import duties in case of some of those dry fruits there. That's exactly what we will discuss after this very short break. Welcome back into Watching Commodity Champions, where we are discussing dry fruits, nuts, and of course, super seeds there. Gunjan, this one is to you. And with opportunities comes concerns as well. And in this way, there is the import duty, especially in case of walnuts, which really seem to be making business slightly haywire there. What's your sense on this? What are the kind of representations that you have made to the government regarding this one?
So yeah, that's the one thing. When I talked about the growth that walnuts have moved from 18,000 tons to 80,000 tons, that's notwithstanding the fact that they are probably among the most expensive in India today. We have 100% tariff on walnuts. The honorable government, in its right, did it right when they wanted to protect the Kashmir grower. But what I can say is that even today, the Kashmir crop gets finished very quickly because India's Kashmir crop is only about 28,000 tons, and the Indian consumption has already gone to about 80,000 tons. So we really need that 50,000. And out of this 28,000 tons, India still exports close to about 8,000 tons of value-added product that we do in walnuts, which has been traditional from Kashmir. So we basically have a shortfall of 60,000 tons, and this shortfall will keep increasing. Walnut is one of the healthiest commodities around. It's great for your brain. It's great for your heart. There are so many studies now which tell about all the various health benefits of walnuts. It's the main non-fish source of omega-3s. So India being a vegetarian country, again, this is a very major nut that is needed for the Indian population for our omega-3s. However, the current tariff is so high that it is only reaching still a part of the upper echelon and maybe the upper middle class. There is a lot more scope. We really want that this commodity should reach down to as many Indian population as possible. It's a healthy alternative. It's proteins. So in order to do that, we would request, there have been some representations, and we move it forward to take the tariff down to a slightly realistic level where we can compete with other commodities on that. The second is that even if we can make the tariff on a per kilo basis so that we go out with the vagaries of the market fluctuations, and everybody knows that this is the kind of level that they have to pay in terms of tariff. So if we're already making representations as an association to the honorable government to work on that. Overall, if this commodity increases, just for an example, China consumes similar population, but they consume 800,000 tons. So I feel even with a slightly lower tariff, and if we are able to do a per kilo tariff, that is in almonds, we'll see a huge rise in the overall imports, and the overall revenue of the government will in fact increase even with a lower tariff because the commodity will start getting consumed so much. We're also working to grow this more in India with such a campaign. When more and more consumption increases, again, the Kashmir farmer will be enticed to grow more of this. We've recently entered, NDFC is done we've been pivotal in getting a MOU done between the Chilean Nut Association and Walnut Growers Association of Kashmir. Brought them together. We are also doing production, increased growing of walnut opportunities in India because This is a tree which once starts giving you fruit. From year 7, it will give you fruit till year 100. So then
right.
once you plant a tree, it's not just for you, it's for the next generation
Generations
also.
as well.
So we're
All right.
working on both sides.
Absolutely. So one is the import duty, and of course the other is ensuring that India itself produces enough. Yash, this question is to you. So that's exactly my point. The import dependency is quite strong, and the other side really is the value addition as well. And between imports and value addition and growing it in India as well, where does India stand right now?
So India has been a cashew and a raisin grower as well as a processor. We have lost out in the last 7 to 10 years to Vietnam as a cashew processing hub. But I think post-COVID, most nations have started looking at India as another alternative for manufacturing. We are witnessing greater investments into infrastructure just to match the global food safety standards. And India is clearly coming out as a credible option for most nations which want to process it in India. Added to that, we have the production-linked incentive schemes by the government that I'm sure will boost a lot of investments in the food manufacturing and the branding space. And nuts and dry fruits are great candidates given their long shelf life that can be very well exported across the world. So I'm pretty hopeful that the next 3 to 4 years is going to we're going to add a lot of foreign dollars to our export volumes, and nuts and dry fruits are going to be right up there.
All right. As the market is growing and as there is just so much bullishness, Deepak, do you see more and more players now entering the segment, and is there enough space for everyone?
Today, we are seeing active interest from many PE players, many venture capitalists, trying and investing in the sector. So in the last 2-3 years, 4-5 years, quite a few deals have happened where people have invested in, in many brands. And we just had a company getting listed, raising money from the primary market from the same sector.
Okay.
And so this is what it is happening. So with the growth and with the overall relevancy, because every big corporate, they see this first thing that they see is the overall market cap, overall market potential. So with that, we have from the house of Tata, from Patanjali or ITC or Marico,
right,
that, people are already active in this sector. So they are either there is an in-house brand which is getting created, or organically or inorganically they are, acquiring few brands from the market.
Absolutely.
So the names that I mentioned, even Patanjali is now entered in and forayed into the same thing. So
Really?
with the names that I'm saying, this sector is getting interest from a lot of big players with the numbers we are seeing.
And smaller ones as well, and you said, and I wish there, and I hope there are more IPOs coming in from your sector as well. And it's not just about dry fruits, right, Gunjan? Because there is, I was reading a report that fresh fruits are more expensive than some of the dry fruits as well. So dry fruits clearly seem to be on the up there, and they have a better shelf life. So there is more interest there. Seeds seem to be doing well as well. So what is the growth that you're seeing there?
So, on the dried fruit side, this was a new concept when we had the berries and the dried fruits coming in to the Indian market. I remember as an importer, the first container of cranberries we imported, it took us 4 months to sell because we had to tell everybody what the product was.
Right.
And now it's reached a stage where India is importing 800 tons already and growing among fastest, and that's just one. So you name anything: cranberries, blueberries, hazelnuts, macadamia nuts, dried kiwi, dried apple. So we are seeing price points which are now very competitive to the fresh. Fresh, although it can't reach everywhere in time, the dried, getting the best from across the globe, it can reach in time to the nooks and corners. It can be used as an excellent nutrition supplement over a fresh. So while the fresh, we don't want to talk anything about the fresh being negative. The fresh is great. It's always been great. This is just an additive you can get wherever you don't feel that fresh is available. And fresh will always be seasonal, so pricing will go up and down a lot. On a dried platform, on a dried form, you can have uniform pricing across the year, and that's what has happened. We've had uniform pricing for a fresh to a dried kiwi, and that has resulted to huge increase in consumption.
I can tell you that I'm one of the consumer there as well, but I have a last minute. And Sameer, last time I heard you speak was about almond, and Badam khane se akal aati hai is something that has been a tagline for the longest time in the Indian markets. Do want to understand on how much does India import? What are the almond prices right now? And what's your sense on the demand on this one?
Yeah, no, I mean, India is right now the largest export market for California. And just mentioned, Badam Khane se akal aati hai. I call it a miracle nut. Before and during the exams, kids have been fed almonds to increase their intelligence. And it really works. So going with that, the imports into India have really gone up. And what has really helped is the pricing of almonds. The pricing of almonds has really defied the inflationary trend across the globe. Almonds are cheaper in 2024 than they were in 2010 in India. Now that is unique, right? I mean, you don't see that with any other commodity, maybe. And that is something that has fueled this phenomenal consumption of almonds in India, not only in the form of traditional way of soaking it in the water and eating it, but also as a snack, also as an ingredient. If you look at the new innovation that is coming around the world and especially in India, a lot of sweets, chocolates, a lot of bakery stuff, biscuits and all are being now made from almonds. So it is really one of the most robust and most unique nuts where it can be really used as anything, and it really goes well with that. And so going with that, we do see India growing at an average 15-20% each year almond consumption.
Wow, those are big, big numbers, and that's all about the nuts and dry fruits and super seeds that our panel is all talking about. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for taking time out with us at CNBC TV18 and giving us those great, grand numbers that the sector is anticipating going forward onto this one. With that, that's all the time that we have on Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.